Good morning. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Please share my channel. Please comment whether you agree with me or not. Thank you so much for being here. We are very close to 400 subscribers, and I'm really happy about that. But I just want to thank each and every one of you who watch and everybody who comments. I really, really appreciate you. So thank you. That's what this channel is all about. So today, what I wanted to talk about are things that I see, when I try not to look at social media too much. Since I started working at this job, I've limited myself to how much I'm on social media. I usually post pictures that I take because I'm a photographer. I haven't even been doing that very often because I haven't been out, but I try to just glance through it. You can't help though, it is very, very addictive, and you can't help but when you see something, or me, I'm just talking about me, when I see something that's eye-catching, like a news, headline, and then I want to read it, for some reason I just can't help reading the comments. It's something I maybe need to work on, is just skipping over through comments, because I noticed a couple of things. Now let's put trolls aside. There are people who are keyboard warriors. There are people who are just on there behind their keyboards. They set up kind of a fake account. If you click on them, you can tell because they have one friend, no profile picture, or just some kind of a scene or whatever for their profile picture. It's not a human being. And a lot of those people get on the internet just so they can troll and be nasty, and there's nothing we can do about those. Then we have bots. I never really paid much attention to when people would say that there are bots. Back in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, Amber Heard was saying that a lot of the mean comments about her were bots, and I didn't get that. I didn't know what she meant by bot farms and bots on the internet, but now I know. I don't know if how many mean comments were bots in that case, because that was a pretty controversial case, but I can say that I do believe that there are a lot of sites that they'll put up some kind of an eye-catching headline, and then a whole lot of the comments underneath it are there to provoke. I do believe that there is such a thing as bots being basically enlisted to provoke, or to keep the algorithm going, basically. Bots are set up, I think they may be paid for by the channel, and it's a way to keep the algorithm going. On my channel, it took me a really long time to get to 200 subscribers, and it's taken me even longer to get to 400. I know there are people that they like to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to, but it's taking a really, really, really long time. And when I ask you to like and subscribe, ring the bell, in fact, I usually don't say anything about the bell, but those things help the algorithms, but very slowly. When you do it organically on YouTube, it happens very, very slowly. It's not like you just go viral, or like, a whole lot of people are just suddenly on your page. They have to be able to see your page, and in order to see it, it either has to be shared by humans, or there has to be something eye-catching enough to where enough people are drawn to it. So bots are enlisted for that reason, to create algorithms that bring on more traffic on a YouTube channel. But when you're looking at any kind of social media, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, which I don't use any of those, I don't get on X. The only one I have is Facebook, and then I have my YouTube channel. But I do see things in the comments that appear to be from human beings. After you sort out the trolls and the bots, and you get rid of all of that, I do see things that seem to be conversations coming from actual human beings. And sometimes people are humble enough to be able to speak with other human beings in a calm and respectful way. And sometimes there's just blurting and name calling. And I wanted to talk about that because I did notice that this morning I was reading, I mean, right now the big controversy in this world is that America came to the rescue of Israel and hit Iran, it's pronounced Iran, hit their nuclear sites, and the world is in uproar, and there are people who have different views on it, different perspectives. And when somebody has one opinion and they spout their opinion and another person has a different opinion, it's one thing to say, I think you're wrong about this, and let me tell you why. And then put up your evidence as far as, why you think this person is wrong. Put up the evidence. Tell them why you think they're wrong. And, put it out there. But they don't share evidence. They don't share research. I gotta get this lane. They don't offer anything. The only thing they can offer is the you're wrong part. They don't tell anybody why. I mean, if we're having a discussion, which social media isn't really discussion anymore, it's just people blaring their frustrations on each other, unfortunately. But it could be a place for discussion. It's too bad it's not. That's what I would like my channel to be, a place for respectful, kind discussion. But on social media, they don't discuss. They just yell at each other. And they don't come up with any information. They don't, and I'm not saying they as in all of them. There are people who do offer a lot of insight. I've seen people who have said, I'm a professor of such and such, and I've studied abroad, and I understand if you go to this library or this book, and you can see the resources that will show you, and then they'll continue on with their theory of the matter, and they actually do come up with valid points that demonstrate that they know what they're talking about. But most people who counter somebody else's comment, I mean, I've seen words like, libtard is the old and outdated name calling. I've seen ignoramus. I've seen, get your head out of your ass. I mean, just comments, and it almost makes me think that the person behind that comment is just sitting on their armchair drinking a beer. Probably 3 sheets to the wind, not really even paying attention, just wanting to spout their hostilities. And they don't have anything to offer or anything to share. And that shows lack of immaturity, for one. It shows lack of intelligence, lack of an ability to reason or to come up with their own reasoning. It really shows a lack of ability to think for themselves and to be able to come to conclusions. Critical thinking. A lot of people say things like critical thinking is a dying art, and I agree with that. Critical thinking requires thinking. Critical thinking requires research. It requires forming conclusions based on information. And there aren't a lot of critical thinkers out there. If there were more critical thinkers and fewer people who just wanted to lash their anger out on other people, what we would have would be, we'd be able to teach each other. And that's what I was thinking this morning. How nice it would be if we were to get on a social media channel, see somebody saying something completely wrong or completely opposite of what we believe, and to get on there and teach them from the knowledge that we have and back it up and support it with facts. Wouldn't that be awesome? Because we could then learn from each other. And that's one of the things that I find about, just humanity in general. I've seen videos that basically say the earth and the world is dividing, and the timeline is shifting. And I see all of these things talking about, the different levels and how we're separating. We are really, really separating. The division that we see is separating. And what are we separating from? I used to think good people from bad people, but there are also, you know, and this is a theory, this isn't anything that I have proven, but there are people that talk about, you know, people who are enlightened are people who are understanding of what they call the 5D, or the realm where you're living in love and you're living in peace and you're living in oneness, in the oneness of all. If you're part of the oneness of all, they call that the 5D. Now they're talking about the 6D and the 7D, and I'm not sure what that means, but just a higher vibrational field. And I'm going to refer to them as fields because they're waves in different fields. And the love and the peace and the kindness, the forgiveness, the forbearance, the giving yourself, your life to your brother, and loving others as you love yourself, and all of those concepts, and the Jesus consciousness, the Jesus way to live is one field. And then the way to live that is, you know, always grumpy, always angry and mean, and wanting the worst for people, wanting to come against people, hating, that kind of thing. Those things, the very mean-spirited things, are, you know, they're on a different field. And the fields seem to be separating. They're moving further and further apart. And maybe that's why we're seeing such a breakdown. Maybe that's why we're seeing such shocking, you know, blatant name calling and people just showing their hatred. And maybe the internet was kind of the vessel that allowed us to, it provided us with a format or a forum where people could get on there and really show their true colors. And, you know, people aren't afraid to show their true colors on the internet because they won't get smacked. Basically, that's kind of how that goes. If you launch a verbal attack on the internet, you're not as likely to get the smackdown as if you try to do it to somebody in person. I'm parking in a different place today. I'm going to try something new. We're having a heat wave, and I noticed last night when I left that this little area gets really shady. And so I'm going to park in the shade today. And most people face that way, but there's not enough room here. I'm going to face this way. I'm facing the berries. Not to get off subject, but if anybody noticed my videos last year, I was so fascinated that we have berries back here that I could pick and eat the berries. I thought they were raspberries, but they're not elderberries. There's a different kind of berries. But they're still good, and they're growing. I can see that they've got their little red sprouts there. The berries are going to come in here probably in a month or two. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I wanted to talk about, you know, people and being mean on the internet and talking bad about other people and all this name calling and everything. And I do believe that there is a distinct difference between people who want to be kind to each other and want to be one with the oneness of all and love one another, and the people who just don't want to participate in that. And I do believe that we are entering into, I don't know when it's going to happen, I don't know how it's going to happen, I don't claim to, but I do believe that we are entering into a shift. I do think that those things are going to eventually split apart. I think that we are going to be at one time, they say in 2050, the split's going to start in 2032, and then it's going to complete in 2050, and I don't know about all these dates. Again, you know, that's just things that I've read. But they're saying that at some point around that time, I'll be 85 years old if I live to be that old. But that everything is just going to kind of divide to the point where the people who are one in love are going to be living in a peaceful environment, and the other ones are just going to go off to wherever they go off to. So anyway, I wanted to share that. I just think that it's something to think about. When I run across people that are really mean, I used to kind of argue against them, or I used to say things to them, and I've decided to just not engage. I've decided to just let them be who they are and continue to walk in my peace, because I don't think there's anything that can be done. You can't argue with somebody who wants to be mean. and you can't change them. You can't try to help them see anything. If that's the way they want to be, that's the way they want to be. But I think for all of us who do want to live in the oneness of all, I think that to just move forward and walk in our peace and walk in our togetherness and see the joy of life. I'm seeing birds here pollinating all these flowers, and just walk in the oneness, walk in your joy and in your happiness, and keep going in that direction. And I think that's probably the best way that we can go about living our lives. If you do engage with anybody who is really mean, you might want to give them a smile or do something that might brighten their day. And it's not like we can't help them at all, but I decided that I'm just not going to engage. So anyway, that's all I've got for today. I'm going to go ahead and get into the office. I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.